Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about how to master your drop spot as well as some other things that kind of take into account to making sure you know everything you need to about a new drop spot or even an old one that you're looking to improve upon. Now a couple of things I'm going to be using in this video I will have linked below. They are some maps and I talk about how to use those to help plan out a drop spot later on in the video. And that map will show you things like chest, vehicle, and more importantly, vending machine spawns, which are very overpowered with one of the more recent updates. However, enjoy the video. When looking to master a drop spot, there's a lot that goes into it. We're going to be looking at divot just so we can kind of get an idea because it's more unique than anywhere else on the map that I find. Now, one of the things you'll notice about divot is the fact that there are a lot of trees. Now, of course, this is obvious, but this is important because all your early game fights are going to be pretty mat dependent because it's quite easy to smack a tree and get a ton of mats, and quickly going around from this area to loot here, you can hit up to 3 or 4 trees, which will really get you up to about 200 mats, and that can really change a fight. So making sure you're farming as much as you can to hopefully have more mats than your opponent is very important in a place like divot. Another great thing about divot is the fact that it has a ton of metal. Now with metal, it's really important because especially in now where we have 500 mats, it's important to have metal because that's basically 1/3 of your reserve of mats, and missing out on something like this when there's not a whole lot of it around the map is very important to have. Another thing about divot that makes it unique is the fact that there's not many vending machines anywhere near it. The closest one in fact is up by Diner. And I know I said it's very important to make sure that there are vending machines, but one thing that divot has to kind of counteract that is the fact that there are tons of mushrooms all along the divot. Now this is great because this is guaranteed shield. Even a vending machine can't guarantee that you'll be getting shield out of one. So for me, that's what kind of makes divot stand out, but making sure you know how to play out of divot is important as well. I was saying how Diner had that vending machine up here, but it also has a good chunk of brick. Now there's no brick down here, so rotating out of divot to Diner is typically what you're going to want to do, as there's a good chunk of loot up there as well. Now one thing you have to be wary of is the fact that there's a ridge here. Now if you're pushing up and there are players up here, they're going to have easy high ground down on you, and it's going to be pretty hard to push up, and you're going to end up spending a lot of your mats or shield, which is definitely not something you want to do. So making sure to take different angles out and loop around, or maybe even push up early enough that they might not even know you're there, and then you can establish height above them before they even have a chance. Now I know every drop spot can't be at a major POI because that would be quite hard to fit everybody into these different areas. Now what I wanted to show you is how to create your own drop spot in an area you might not even think could be a drop spot. Now for duos, I planned for us to land in this area, splitting between these two cabins here, and then we take some different paths through here to eventually meet a rift here. Now I use those chest, vehicle, and vending machine spawns to figure out how to plan out our path. Now what we ended up doing is there's a vending machine here and one here. So what we would do is if nobody was landing up here by Frosty, I would fly over here, grab that, and then there's a driftboard spawn there, which I would take back down to our path. Thieves would end up going through everything he could down to here, where we would eventually rift out, or if someone was close enough, we would sometimes driftboard to zone, depending on what we'd like to do. Now, what was cool about this is we were able to plan and look at where the mats spawned in this area. Now there's some metal spawns here, and here, which was enough to get us full on mats. As well, we could tell where the chests were, some here, here, and then there was a couple spread out in here as well down there. And we really got a full look at what we needed to know dropping down in this area, which is pretty cool because we don't have to spend as much time running around mapping out where everything spawns. Just having that information right at your fingertips can really help out a lot when planning where you want to drop. Now what's cool is you can maybe even go and say, all right, let's look at an area over here. Now what spawns in this area? Do we have vending machines? Do we have drift boards? Do we have ballers? And look at all of that and then make a judgment and plan out a nice path. That way you know you're going to be full on every single type of mat you need, as well as have all the loot and shield you may need as well. Now, a big thing that you need to practice as well is making sure that when you're dropping somewhere, you know exactly where you want to drop, as that will help you determine when to jump from the bus and where to dive from and get that exact height. So on future drops, you're going to have the best drop if you are getting contested. Along with that, knowing exactly where you're going to drop will help you get a loot path set up quite easily, as knowing how to loot a house as fast as possible is pretty crucial, especially when you're being contested, because that means you being able to farm mats for an extra minute is going to be way more powerful than an opponent who's been looting that entire time. Alright, so that's going to wrap up the video there, though. I hope you did enjoy. If you're looking for some more tips on how to dominate early game and making sure you can win as many engagements as possible, I'm going to have a video link down in the description, and hopefully it should pop up on the screen as well. Other than that, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow in the next one.